All right, let's open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple in Hamashiach shall return. Our Father, Yah, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharah, we thank you once again, Yah. We thank you for allowing us to reach your holy Shabbat, Yah. For many have not even reached this day, Yah, thinking that they had tomorrow or next week to come and keep your Sabbath day, but it never came for some people. So we're thankful, Yah, for because we made it here does not mean that we are worthy. It means that you are merciful, Yah, and we acknowledge that, and we will utilize this grace that you have given us to the best of our abilities, Yah. Yah, we humbly ask that you allow your spirit of understanding and wisdom and knowledge to rest upon us as we rightly divide your scriptures, seeking the answers that you have hid in plain sight, that have been hidden from us for centuries, Yah, due to man's will and our own disobedience, Yah. Yah, we ask that you please, once again, please, Yah, we beg you, please forgive us of our sins and trespasses, Yah. And don't only just forgive us, we ask, but we ask to also show us the error in our ways, Yah, the error in our understanding. And if we teach anything or spread anything of falseness, Yah, we ask you to please gently push us in the right direction, Yah, for we seek only to push forth your word and not our own. Yah, we ask that also that you allow your angel to sit at the door and not to come in and sup with us and us with him, so your name could be here on his grounds, giving us that holy convocation, that Kodesh Mikra that you commanded us to keep, Yah, so that the world may know that you are the true Elohim and your servants honor you on the day that you set forth, Yah. Yah, these things we thank and pray not only for us, but for all your children across the four corners of the earth, which also gather to show you their sign of obedience on the Shabbat. These things we thank and pray through your holy and your son, Yahshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. Hey. Why are you eating the tea with a spoon? You're not supposed to eat it, you're supposed to drink it.
Shh.
¿Haga eso?
It's too loud. Go upstairs and get the blanket. And there's another one in the closet up there too.
Like a ball of ice.
All right, and y'all keep it down. We're getting ready to start.
Talk.
All right, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharah. I'm from my brother Wesley Yasharah. Shabbat Shalom. And we are Savior Word of Yah. We are starting a little bit later. The elders have other things that they need to attend to. So we're going to handle the classes at about noon now. And when they're able to attend, we'll go ahead and have an early class. But our class will begin at about noon. And the title of today's Shabbat is Nationality, Citizenship, and Religion. Nationality, citizenship, and religion. And often when we talk to people and, we're out in public and, the believers, when we talk to people, we start to expound on the word and the other nations or even our own people. They hear the wisdom that we speak with and they look at us like we're so wise. Like, oh, you guys are so smart. You're so wise. And they wonder like, well, what are you? And then we tell them we're Israelites. And the first thing they think is like, oh, you're the people that we see on TV screaming and racist and, all this stuff. And they have this image of us and they're so shocked to hear us speak, especially from our assembly, the way we present the word. And like, what are you? And then we have to tell them we're not a religion. Israelite or Yasharala is a nationality. Now, within that nationality, you can be whatever religion you choose. The religion, if you would call it religion, we choose is to be a believer. We believe in the word, the entire word. We are the sect of the Nazarene. That's what they called Yeshua's followers, the sect of the Nazarene. And subscribe to any one of those things. But then you talk to other people, they say, well, I'm American. I'm just American. Well, American is not a nationality, unless you're a Native American, that you are from this land, originally inhabited from this land, which I don't believe anybody originally inhabited from this land. Everybody got to this land, came here. So, native, but you dwell in a specific place. So there's a difference. So we have to understand and make sure that we can explain the difference to people that, listen, don't judge me. That's like saying all black people are a certain way. That's the same thing. Or all white people are a certain way. That's inaccurate. You have different nationalities of so-called white people or Europeans. I hate to use the term white, but Europeans. There's different nationalities. Even in the continent of Africa, there's different nationalities. And within these so-called countries, which is a real messed up term, basically carved Africa and said this part is going to belong to this European country and this part is going to belong to this. Within those countries, there are nationalities, different tribes of people that are different staying in those different places. So we have to understand what that is. And throughout all of that, all the nationalities in the world, we are the only people in the entire world without a nationality. We got plenty of religion. We got a whole bunch of religion. We have no nationality. And every Baptist, and my people came from Scotland, or they came from Europe, or wherever the place, wherever in Europe they came from. They can tell you, everybody can answer that. Even the native Africans that from the continent of Africa can tell you, oh, I'm from the Fulani tribe, or I'm from the Zulu tribe, or I'm from here, but we live in Kenya. And They can all answer that. But the so-called black man, the descendant of the transcontinental slave. All right, so I just wanted to show you those two things. Citizen. I wanted to show you what citizenship is. If you look at the word for citizen, the Greek word that's being used here is G4177, which is polites, Polites, polites. And that is literally a townsman or citizen. He's just saying, look, I'm a townsman from in Judea, which is again a area which would include Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. That's not a tribe. That's an area. That's what they carved out. Again, the same thing they did in Africa. They said, this is Nigeria. This area right here. What is that? Nigeria is not even a Nigerian word. There was a Virginia company that established that. We had dual citizenship in Judea, carved out by the Greeks and the Romans, and he had citizenship in in Rome as well, because he could speak Greek. He was from a city of Cilicia in Tarsus. All right, so let's go to Genesis chapter 10. So I just wanted to show that difference between your nationality and a citizenship. Completely different. Now, if we want, matter of fact, before we go there, let's go to Romans 11 real quick. I just want to show you his nationality. Go to Romans chapter 11. And Shabbat Shalom to Mika Wilson. Good to see you, sis.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, has Elohim cast away his people? Certainly not. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
There's his nationality. I'm an Israelite. He didn't say I'm a Hebrew Israelite. That's made up. That's a religion. He said I'm a Yasharallah, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So he's going even further. So what tribe is Kylie? What tribe is Saul from? You just said it.
Abraham?
He's of the seed of Abraham.
Wait, what was the question?
Benjamin. There you go. So that is his tribe. His nationality is Israelite. And within the Israelite nationality, you have tribes. It's the same thing in Africa. You have nationalities in Africa with tribes within that. But what they did was they created these imaginary borders that they call countries. And the Europeans created it, the Council of Berlin. These imaginary lines that you see on maps that don't exist in real life. There's no lines on the ground. And they said this is a country. And if you live there, then you're a citizen of that country. If you have to fill out their paperwork and do all that stuff, you become a citizen of their country. But he's telling you right here what his nationality is. He didn't say, I'm, as Yah Elohim cast away his people, I am a Yehudi. He didn't say that. He said, I'm an Israelite, because now he's talking to his people here. I'm an Israelite of the seed of Abraham. Before, when he was talking, what we just read, he was talking to his people, but he's talking because these Greeks is right here, these Romans, so I let these people know, look, I'm one of you, but guess what? I'm also a citizen of this country here. So you can't just take me and throw me and do whatever, because I have rights, because I'm a the nationalities are given here. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 10, Bereshit chapter 10, where the nationalities are broken down. All the nations of the world are broken down here in Genesis chapter 10. It's called the Table of the Nations, is what they call this little section right here in Bereshit chapter 10. Because the whole earth, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who was their father? You remember?
Joshua.
No. Who was their earthly father?
Yahweh.
Noah.
Oh, I'm about to say that.
And you, of course, you was about to say that. You didn't say that.
Noah? Either Jacob or Noah.
Noah. All right, so Genesis chapter 10. Bereshit chapter 10, and we're going to start this at verse 1. Now, some of these different nationalities, these different nations in here, we don't have a clear understanding of who they are. We just know the region that they would have been in.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth.
All right, so remember, after you had the flood, when you had the flood, the only people that survived were Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Those 4 men and their wives. And everybody else on the earth was wiped out. Everybody, wasn't nobody else who snuck on the boat or this, that, no. Everybody else was wiped out. Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their father Noah. The entire world was populated by these people right here, because the rest of everybody, it was flooded. So all the nations are being outlined here. Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Shech, and Tyrus.
All right, so Japheth is where the Europeans descend from. Japheth went into Europe, into that area over there. So this is where his people came, where they would have called Eurasia and all that, Europe, Asia, kind of in that area. That's where Japheth, the sons of Japheth, went. And we'll break down some of these. Some of these we know, and some of them we don't. So if we look at Javan is the Greeks. Javan is the Greeks. So every time you see Javan, they're talking about the Greeks. And how you can look that up is you can go into the Strongs and you can kind of look at the Hebrew words there. And some of them, they'll actually give you who the modern people are. And many of them go by these same names. All right, so if we go to Gomer, it says doesn't give you a clear distinction. Gog and Magog, we know that's the barbarous northern region. So this is like the Russians, Kyrgyzstan, all those heavily Islamic northern European countries. Magog, Mayday is like also Central Asia. So this would be, Oriental type tribes. And then Yavan is one that we know who they are. This is the Greeks, the Ionians or the Greeks. Tubal is one that we don't really know. And if anybody has information and has some kind of documents showing who these people are, definitely comment or send us some information on that. Same thing with Meshach and Tyrus. All right, go ahead. Now, we don't know all the answers to some of these, but we know some of their sons that descended from some of these people. We know who they are. Shalom, Brother Brian Davis. Good to see you out.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 2.
Hold on, so you had a question, baby?
I wanted to read it, but never mind.
Okay, go ahead. Brother West, continue.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah.
All right, so verse 3. One of these sound very familiar. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. Now, again, we didn't clearly know who Gomer is, but we know who Ashkenaz is. Ashkenaz is the Germans. The Ashkenazi Jews, they call them that. So they're telling who they are. We are Ashkenaz, which is the seed of Japheth. That's not Israel. They're saying we're Ashkenaz Jews. Now, Jews is not a term that's in here. We're not going to say this is where the Jews descended from. Jews come from Judea, Jewry, which is basically a made-up line that they put over our land. It's not based upon the inheritance that Yah gave to people. So they're saying, I am a citizen of Judea, of the nation of Ashkenaz, which is Germany. So these people calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews are not Israelites. That's why they never call themselves Israelites. They call themselves Jews. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the sons of Yavan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim.
All right. So we know Kittim is where the Greeks and Romans came from. Because Javan was the Greeks, the Romans came out of the Greeks. So Kittim, when you see Kittim, that's Greek Romans, them people. And when you see Tarshish, that's Spain, Spaniards. So these Spain and these Romans and Greeks, they're coming out of Javan, which came out of Japheth. We got to remember Shem, Ham, and Japheth. We can't be anti-Semitic by talking against Ashkenazi Jews, because Ashkenaz did not come from Shem. The word Semitic comes from Shemitic. It's impossible. We cannot be anti-Semites by talking against people that are not Shemites. They're not from Shem. And their own Torah that they claim belong to them, which it doesn't, it belongs to our people, points that out, that you are not our seed. You are not of our nationality, at least by blood. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations.
All right, so if you look at verse 5, a doctrine that was taught is that these people that we just read of the seed of Japheth, those are Gentiles. Only those people are Gentiles, because it says it right there. These were the isles of the Gentiles divided. But if you look at the Hebrew word for Gentiles, it's goy, which is goyim, which is basically the nations, the other nations, every other nation other than Yasharah. So how you know that is when you go to the end of verse 5, it says, but these were the isles of the goyim divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their goyim, in their nations. So why in that last word in verse 5 it says nations, but then where up there it says Gentiles, but it's the same exact word in the beginning of verse 5. It says Gentiles in the beginning of verse 5, but then it says nations on the last word, but it's the same exact Hebrew word. That's the doctrine that they're pushing. At the end of the day, by these were the isles of the goyim divided their lands, everyone after his tongue, after the families of goyim, the families of nations. That's how it should have been translated. Go ahead. So that was Japheth. Now we're going into Ham, where they say Hamite. We say, oh yeah, he a Hamite. Well, if you're a Hamite, then you're of these nations right here. Go ahead.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan.
All right, so we know Ham was the other son of Noah. Cush is Ethiopia, the Ethiopians, the ancient Ethiopians. Mizraim, which we know that one, Mizraim are the Egyptians. So that means some of the Cushites, because again, there are other people that are citizens of that area. That's different. But why that causes confusion? Because what we call Ethiopia right now, again, was them drawing lines saying this is the country. Mizraim, we know that that is the Egyptians. Now, when you go here for Put, this is a Persian tribe. And then Canaan, which we know is the land that they call Israel, where the Canaanites dwell. Go ahead.
And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Saptah, Ramah, Sapteca. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
All right, so these are what we would call Africans, which is a horrible term. But we would call these people Africans. And that's why we would say, oh, we're not African, we're Israelite. No, we're not Hamites, is what we would mean to say. Go ahead.
And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
And he's the reason why you have Christmas. Because of Nimrod, because he was one of the first mighty one in the earth. Go ahead.
He was a mighty hunter before Yah. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Caldan, in the land of Shinar.
All right, so again, these are talking about Hamites right now. These were Hamites. Cush, which is a Hamite, begot Nimrod. And Nimrod was the mighty one, and he took over a big, large region. But everybody that was in his region was not Hamites. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah.
All right, so Asher is not a Hamite. But Asher builded Nineveh and Rehoboth and Calah in Babylon. Babylon is where Shemites would dwell. But Nimrod, who was a Hamite, had took over a lot of those regions in the ancient time and created with Babylon and Erech. That's where his kingdom was, in the land of Shinar. All this is Babylon. But these aren't all Hamites. Some of these people are Shemites, because you see right here, Asher builded Nineveh, Rehoboth, and Calah. Go ahead. Why are you opening that? Put that back.
And Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and Calsuhim, out of whom came Philistim and Caphtorim.
All right, so when you look at verse 14, it's basically saying Caphtorim is the original term for the Philistine. So the Philistines, which were one of the nations of people that were afflicting us, the same group of people that Shimshon or Samson was fighting with, came out of Mizraim. So these are Hamites. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zimmerite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad.
All right, so and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. So when they're spread abroad, they're starting to go places that they should not have been. So they're called Canaanites, and they called that land Canaan, but the land where they were was not their land. This is why Yah had us come in there and dispossess those people out of that land, because if you go into the book of Jasher, it talks about the agreement that was made between Shem, Ham, and Japheth to divide the earth so that they wouldn't be fighting over land. And the Canaanite nations decided, no, we're going to come in here and we're going to do what we want to do. We're going to dwell in the land of Shem. Because where they called Canaan, which is now modern day Israel, parts of modern day Israel, that was the land of Shem. They shouldn't have been there. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as you come to Gerar, unto Gaza, as you go unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, and in their countries, and in their nations.
All right, so now when you see in their nations, they didn't say Gentiles, because that's the same word that they use for Gentiles, H1471. So you got to go in here and look at the Hebrew, because they're pushing these doctrines like Gentiles are only European nations. The Hamite nations aren't Gentiles. These are all Goyim, because we're all nations. We're the nation of Yasharal. But Yah separated this nation from everybody else and said, this is my nation. This is my people. And everybody else are nations. You are me, because I married you. For example, my wife is my wife. Other women are other women. I'm not going to this, but this is my wife. So this is to me. Everybody else is separate. Bless you. All right, so those are the Hamites. So we just went over the Japhethites, all those that came, the Europeans, and now you have the African nations, which we just went over that came from Ham. Now we're getting into our branch, Shem.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 21. Unto Shem also the father of the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram.
All right, so if we go to Elam, Elam is likely like the Indian people. Asher, which we just read, who founded Nineveh. This is Assyria, and Arphaxad, which the Shiite come out of, and Lud is the name of two nations, Lud or Lydia, which I'm not sure where that is, and Aram is Syria. Syria is Aram. And again, if anybody has more documented proof of who these people are, definitely help us find this out, because we're trying to get the answer to this. So Shabbat Shalom to my shot, Sister Tafara. Just hope you have a safe return. All right. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 23. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hol, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. And
all right, so Eber would have been a bar in ancient Hebrew. A bar. That's why you have, and how you know that is because you have Mount Abarim, which would be the ancient mountain of the Abarites, of the Eberites or whatever. So they have a mountain called Abarim. That's the ancient for Eber. So Eber is where we get the term Hebrew from. And the ancient term from Hebrew would be Abarim. Go ahead.
And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for his days was the earth divided. For in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Yoktan.
All right, so Peleg is, his name literally means like earthquaker or something like that. What is it? Earthquake. So at the time of Peleg is when we used to be Pangea, what they call Pangea, where all the earth was together in one. But when his time was the big earthquake that came and separated the earth, now you start to have these continents. Go ahead.
And Yoktan begat Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, and Yerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Yobab.
All right, so now when you see Ophir, this is where many believe is where you get, which would have been Ophir or Afar, because again, we didn't have an O and we didn't have an E in ancient Hebrew. It would have been Ophir, is where they would have got Africa from. So that's where they believe, that's a theory where they believe the term Africa came from. Another theory is that it came from Scipius Africanus. But when you look up Scipius Africanus, his name was changed to Africanus after he dominated, defeated Hannibal, some of in the African tribes when they fought over there. And then his name was changed to that. But if you go to his father didn't have the name Africanus. So how would he be the one who named it Africa? That's another European doctrine, which I don't follow that, because again, if you follow the trail, how his name all of a sudden became Africa after he dominated that land. He named himself after the land as the person who dominated the black man, the colored man, which was a huge thing for the Gentiles to actually beat the Africans, especially Hannibal and those people. Go ahead.
All these were the sons of Yoktan. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 30. And their dwelling was from Mesha, as you go unto Sephar, the mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, and their tongues, and their lands after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations and their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
All right, so I know that that's a hard read right there, because you're going after all these different lineages, and half of them we don't even know where the specific ones they are. But all these are regions, areas, and it's showing you where these people are. None of these regions that they're talking about are regions of America, the West. These are all the other. This is the Eastern world. Later, people left and started to go. As things happened, they started to navigate and move different places and travel different places. And what the Europeans like to make you believe is like they are the ones that started actually exploring that area. But how they were the ones that explored that area if they went there and there were already people there? And the people there weren't from there. If you go into their history, they'll talk about how when the land was locked and they walked down into those areas before the big earthquake that spread everything before that. Now, the importance of that is you need to know your bloodline, where your bloodline follows. Everybody else knows, and everybody else traces and can tell you. They'll tell you, yeah, I'm German. You ask a Jewish person, I'm German, I'm Russian, I'm from Ukraine, I'm from Poland, I'm from all those countries. They'll tell you. They know their nationality. So it's important for us to know, because if we know who we are, then other people can't come in our land, which belongs to us, and say it belongs to them. That's why we need to know who we are. That's like if my child don't know who her father is, don't know who her mother is, don't know her house, and she's sitting in my house. I passed away, and my neighbor come move in and be like, yeah, this is my house. I've been living here all my life. And my daughters don't know, they don't know me, they don't know my wife, they don't know their mother, they don't know that my address. And that's the condition that we're in. We got other people sitting in our stuff and telling them they're us. We don't know. All right, let's go on. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19. And we're going to read verses 1 through 8. Absolutely, Brother Anthony, the Israel. The wrong people are occupying our land, but we believe in prophecy. Prophecy tells us that everybody's going to go back to their own land. So we're the only people that don't know what land we're supposed to go back to. We run into Ghana, we run in here, we run in there thinking that that's our land. Egypt thinking that that's our history. That's not our history. Were we there? Did we take part in many of those things? Absolutely. But that is not our history. That's not our land. We have our land. And I believe the prophecy wholeheartedly that we are going to return to our land in YAH's time, and we're going to occupy it forever, according to prophecy. So we're going to read Exodus, Shemot, chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
In the third month, when the children of Yasharal were going forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Yasharal camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharal, You have seen what I did unto the Mithrites, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Yasharal.
All right, so this is our heritage now. This is what our heritage is, to be a kingdom of priests, not a tribe of priests. Remember, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. So now we are going to become our own nation, a kingdom of priests set apart. This is beyond the bloodline of just being from the descendants of Shem or the descendants of Eber, because there's plenty of people that are technically Hebrews. Esau's technically a Hebrew because he's a son of Eber. But this is different. This is a heritage now being given to the children of Yasharal. But we have to agree to this. Y'all don't force anything on us. We have to agree to these things. Go ahead.
And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh.
All right. So he called for all the elders. Look at the order. Call all the elders, talk to the elders, tell them what I'm about to do, and see if they agree. He could have just forced them. But no. He said the people need to agree. Just like when you take a wife, your wife has to agree. You can't just take her and be like, that's my wife. No, she got to agree. And you got to set forth, okay, but to be my wife, here's going to be the rules. The rules is we're gonna live this way. And she has to agree. So we agreed. All that you say we will do. We said, I do. That's what separates us from all the other nations. Because we were the one group of people in the world that said, I do to Yah. We said that. So we made that covenant with the Father. Go to Shemot chapter 6. So when you agree, Exodus chapter 6, when you agree to those things, then there's a reward. You get an inheritance. Just like when you marry a husband, you get an inheritance. If he passes away or something happens to him, that belongs to the wife. She gets that inheritance. So Yah gave us an inheritance and said, this is going to be your heritage. This is what you're going to have. This only belongs to the nation. It doesn't belong to citizens of that nation that are not of that nation. It doesn't belong to people that have a similar religious belief. It doesn't belong. It belongs to the people of that nation. That's it. And if you don't believe that, go to Romans chapter 9. Matter of fact, let's go to Romans chapter 9 real quick. I'll never want to get in the habit of just telling people. And I know this is review for a lot of people because, this is basic Hebrew knowledge, but you never know. We gotta be able to precept this to people. Because if the nations are going to cleave onto us and say, man, our fathers have inherited lies, then we have to be able to precept these things in their Bible, the same Bible we have. Romans chapter 9, start this in verse 1.
I say the truth in Mashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
And that's the heaviness and continual sorrow that you have in your heart when you try to walk and talk according to the word of Yah, the saving word of Yah. You're going to have heaviness and a continual sorrow in your heart. But you have to learn how to endure through that and have peace with that. Go ahead.
My kinsmen according to the flesh.
All right, so he's saying my nation men, my national brothers who are Israelites. So this is his nationality once again, Israelites. And this is all his brothers he's talking to. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites, to whom pertains the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Elohim and the promises. Whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh, Mashiach, who is over all, Elohim blessed forever. Amen.
All right, so Mashiach in the flesh, concerning the flesh for Yasharal. But the spirit was for everybody that wanted to cleave onto it. But in the flesh, he came to Yasharal. That's who he came to. But his spirit was given out to whoever wanted to accept the order of Yah and accept his truth. But this is what belongs to the nation of Yasharal. The adoption, because we were adopted as sons. The glory, the covenants, which mean all the promises. The giving of the law, which means we were given the law. And the service of Elohim and the promises. So we were given the law, so we have to give out the law and teach the law. This is our heritage. This is what makes us who we are. It's beyond just a bloodline. It's also the heritage that comes along with the bloodline. Now let's go back to Exodus chapter 6, Shemot chapter 6, and we just want to read verses 1 through 13. Shemot chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
Then Yahweh said unto Moshe, now that you see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spake unto Moshe and said unto him, I am Yahweh, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Yishak, and unto Jacob by the name of El Shaddai, but by my name Yahweh was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Yasharal, whom the Mizrites keep in bondage, and I've remembered my covenant.
All right. Keep going.
Wherefore say unto the children of Yasharal, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Mizrites, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm, and with great judgment. And I will give you to me for a people, and I will be to you an Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brings you out from under the burdens of the Mizrites.
So he says, I'm going to take you to me for a people. So this is the adoption. This is the wedding. This is him saying, no, now you're going to be a nation of my people. And that Hebrew word for people is Ami, which is H5971, AM. And that's a people as a congregated unit, specifically a tribe as those of Yasharal. So he's saying, I'm going to take you and I'm going to make you the nation, Yah's nation, separate from everybody else. This is who you're going to be, for me to belong to me. Now, this is being done for the rest of the world. It's not just for us. It's done for us because the game plan down the line is for the rest of the world. But we have to understand who we are and what we're responsible for so that we can affect the rest of the world and bring them and bring them in to be citizens of the kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 8, and I will swear to give it to Abraham, to Yishak, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a heritage.
All right, so he said, I will give it to you as a heritage. So this is your inheritance. Along with being of a certain nationality, you have a heritage that goes along with that. You have an inheritance that goes along with that. If you don't know who you are, you can't claim your inheritance. You don't know your heritage. You don't know what was given unto you as a people. We didn't know the things that we agreed to in Exodus 19 and Exodus 20. We didn't know those things. This was taught to just a specific person, Abraham, and it was Isaac, then Jacob, all the way from Noah and Enoch, and all this is being passed down to like a person, all the way it came down and said, all right, now I'm not just dealing with these single persons. I'm going to deal with a people. A whole bloodline of people is all going to be included in this now. And this is what happened when you got down to the 12 tribes. Now it was given to this. They said, all right, now you are my people. Instead of, he is my person, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, that's my guy. No, this is the family. Now you're a family of people that I'm dealing with. And now we became a nation. You can't be a nation with just one person. That's not a nation. That's a person. All right, we're going to read that in verse 13.
And Moshe spoke so unto the children of Yasharal, but they hearkened not unto Moshe for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage.
All right, so we had a question. Sis Yahaniah asked, did Ham help bring us into slavery? Absolutely. Every nation. You can go to Psalms 83 and you can see that. Finish verse 13.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, that he let the children of Yasharal go out of his land. And Moshe spake before Yahweh, saying, Behold, the children of Yasharal have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Yasharal and unto Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim.
See, he said, bring them out because I'm going to make you a nation. Come out and I'm going to make you a nation. So we were made a nation and then we lost our nationality. As per prophecy, which we're going to read next. We were taken out of that. We lost our nationality and now we just niggas. We just blacks, the blacks. Now we just black Americans, Afro-American. We only people in the world without a nationality now. This was the punishment for us. The same thing, the way Esau was punished for despising his inheritance. By saying, my stomach and how I feel right now is more important than my heritage. So he was punished. And we were punished the same way. We thought the things of the other land was more important. The heathens and what they got was more important than these laws, than this inheritance and this land that was given unto us. And now we're going to answer Sis Yahanaya's question real quick. We're just going to read Psalms 83. And we're just going to read through verse 12. We're going to read 1 through 12, and we're going to answer that question. She said, did the Hamites help bring us into slavery?
Psalms 83 and verse 1. Keep not you silence, O Elohim, hold not your peace, and be not still, O El. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head.
And who were your enemies at this time? Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones.
So they took crafty counsel. They used subtlety and they counseled together. How can we take these people down? These people are too strong and too mighty with Yah. All right. Now, Moors, Brother Brian, Moors is just the term for the original man, saying that we are the original man. We know black people were here first. You can look at people, you can't get white without black. White people without black people somewhere down the line are never produce a black person. They need a black person. But two jet black people can produce a white person in an albino. And if you use colors, painters, they understand this. You can't get the color white without the color black. But you don't need white to get black. And if you use plants with phenotypes and things of that nature, you can't produce those type of colors without black. You can't get that. You can get white from black, but you can't get black from white. So we know we're here first. So the Moors are claiming that they're original people. And that doesn't mean you're a nationality. You're just saying, I know that I'm the original people on this earth. And the Moors can be Christians, they can be Islamic, they can be Israelite, it can be all of the above. And yes, the Islamic Moors were some of these peoples we about to read right now that helped bring us into slavery and sold us into slavery. These are the same people that took Joseph into slavery. Go ahead.
Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal may be no more in remembrance.
This is why you don't know who you are. Because the nations came together and said these people are too powerful. And they're only powerful if they have the power of Elohim with them. People want to call, you're a conspiracy theorist. This is right here in the Bible. This is well before this, thousands of years before I even touched this earth. This is what they did. They are still doing it. They know our power. We don't know our power. Now, does the average European or the average Gentile walking around here know our power? Maybe, maybe not. But the leaders, You best believe they know our power because they have the history written down of the things that we were able to do when we were in good grace with Yah. And this is why people are struggling. That's why we struggle the way we are, because we're not in good grace with Yah. We want the blessings that he gives us, but we don't want to operate according to those blessings. And then we get cursed and we look around and say, well, it's just, it rains on the just and the unjust. Well, why ain't raining so hard on these other nations? Why raining so hard on us? But guess what? Our 400-year captivity has come to an end. Now we only dealing with what we reap. What we sow. That's all we going to deal with now. Them days is over with. Now, them curses is off us. We don't deal with them curses no more. We only dealing with the curses of Deuteronomy 28 when we don't keep the commandments. Go ahead.
Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you.
They have a confederacy. They have come together to say, let's stop these people from knowing who they are so they can be defeated. Go ahead.
The tabernacles of Edom.
Now that's a Hebrew. Edom. That's Jacob's twin brother, Esau. Go ahead.
The Ishmaelites of Moab.
Which is Ishmael, his people. Ishmael people was Esau's older brother. Go ahead.
Of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Now you getting into Hamites. Ammon is not a Hamite because he's a Shemite. But Amalek and the Philistines and Tyre are all Hamites. These are some of the people that went against us, that consulted. We're jealous of our inheritance. Go ahead.
Asher also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Yabin at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and as Zalmunna.
All right, so question. Which nation did not consult against the children of Yasharal? Think about what I'm saying. Which nation did not consult against the children of Yasharal? Answer? Well, that's your answer. No nation. All the nations consulted with us because they knew. Just like here's a perfect example with Danielle. We got to create a law that will make him go against his law. Or what was the story that they had to? The nations came and said, "Oh well, this is how that's an apocrypha. Oh, this is how they will fall. All you got to do then is to get them to transgress their laws, and then they had no power." And it was Moab and Ammon and all them around us that told them how to destroy us. The other nations knew. They knew. It's right here in the Bible. They knew. They knew how not to destroy us. And Brother Brian Davis said Yehuda. Unfortunately, Yehuda was one of the main ones that destroyed us. Our own people destroyed us because we decided to kill our own prophets, kill our own Mashiach. They consulted the same thing. We did this to ourselves, but the other nations came together and we would join, just like in history, we would join with the other nations to destroy ourselves, which is why he calls us a sottish people, stupid people. So the other nations knew, listen, you're not going to beat them. You're going to have to get them to transgress the law of Yah. Then they have no power. This is right here in our Bibles. Told us that. This is ancient information, ancient knowledge. So what, all of a sudden it don't apply now? Y'all said, you can do what you want. That was the old days, that you were that way. Nah. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17. Jeremiah chapter 17. Yirmiyah. This is a side note. if y'all, I'm talking to the viewers, because the viewers obviously understand, because you could be doing anything on your Shabbat. You could be watching Netflix. You could be hanging out. You could be watching another class. You could be doing anything, sleeping, relaxing, doing whatever. My brother said, obviously, Yah has him here because he said, I'll be sleeping. This is prime sleep time to relax. I'll be doing the same thing, especially with the cold and the snowing here in Atlanta right now. But if you can't see what's going on in the earth right now, you have a terrible problem. Antarctica just hit a record temperature of 64 degrees yesterday. 64 degrees in Antarctica. If that don't wake people up and see what's happening right now, we are coming into a new age. Things are changing. It's snowing here in Atlanta at 64 degrees in Antarctica. What? Turkey had that earthquake. The earthquake, I think it was a few days ago. I showed you the video. The earth bled. Literally. The earth cracked open and blood poured out the earth like if you cut my arm and blood starts to pour out. And I'm not talking about just a trickle, like a river flowing of blood coming, like not light color, red tide, no, thick blood poured out the earth. Go Google this or go to Israelite Gathering on the Facebook page. We put a video up. You can see the video. This is unheard of. The closest thing that I can think of to this is when the blood of all the innocent cried out to Yah. That's the only thing I can think of. And that's like the blood of all the innocent pouring out of the earth right now, crying out. And this is Turkey. This would have been where the Ottoman Empire was, where mad Hebrews were killed. That's why you eat turkey on Thanksgiving. All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17. That's just a sidebar, man. It's just to wake us up. Wake us up. I know we caught up in Instagram. We caught up on TV and Super Bowl and all this stuff. But the earth is changing. You're getting all the signs. If you just go in history and you look at every change of an age, from the Ice Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, whatever, there was mad destruction in the earth, change in temperature, wars, all these things. And then you went into a new age. Well, we were prophesied what the new age is going to be. It's going to be the age of this stone kingdom coming, where Yahshua is going to be reigning on this earth, which means the word, the Savior word of Yah, the same word that we're reading now, is going to be the norm. This is what's going to govern the earth. You want to learn this now. You don't want to learn this when you're being killed for not knowing this. Or you're suffering because you can't keep up with this. You need to know this so you can teach your children, and your children can teach your children's children. Because if we know we're going outside right now and we know it's cold outside, we're going to put on coats. We're not going to wait till we get outside. It's freezing out here. And then go look for a coat. You're an idiot if you do that. You knew it was going to be cold. It's December 25th. Cold. And you're going to go outside in the cold and in the freezing snow and be surprised that it's cold? This is how our people are reacting right now. Like they don't know, like they can't see what's going on out here. You see. But see, our people would I'd rather just close my eye like you would do when you was a little kid and you hear noises in your room and you start getting scared. You put your covers over your head. But like, if I just cover myself, the monster can't get me because he can't get through this impenetrable cover. That's how a child thinks. We adults, a monster come in my house, I'm putting 7.62 or 223 through them because I'm an adult. I'm not a child. I'm not gonna just. Now I'm Deadpool or whatever. That's ridiculous. Wake up, people. And again, I'm not talking to the viewers. Y'all are awake. But these are the things that we need to tell people. Blindness in part has happened until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. The age of the Gentiles is full. It's coming to an end. They either get down or lay down, and that's it. And that's not racism. That's reality. Sorry for the sidebar. Let's go back. Jeremiah chapter 17. Let's start this at verse 1.
The sin of Yehuda is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altars.
And that's why Yahshua is not going to judge you based on what you say. And he doesn't need to do any of that. He's not going to scream. He's not going to do anything. He just look at you and see, you ain't clean up your room. Yeah, you lied to your dad. Said that you this. Yeah, you sneaking to go talk to little boy. Yeah. You stole them little quarters from my little thing you think I didn't know about? Yeah. That's what Yahshua doing. He looking right through you, right through at your heart. And he ain't just looking that way. He looking more this way. This way is where he looking. This way. The servants is who he looking at. That's why the servants are getting their behinds handed to them. But our behinds are being handed to us to make us stronger and better, and to be better leaders, and have a better chance at salvation, so we can help other people have a better chance at salvation for Yah's prophecy, so that we can come together as a nation. Not because we some great people, we just this great nation. No, we ain't crap. We filthy rags at our best state. Until Yah puts his spirit on us, now we become great. That's right. Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And absolutely, Brother Brian, the age is ending. Eternity is next, and the birth pains. Just like when your sister was born, Kamora, your mother, they had to have a C-section. And when she after she had her, she went into the bathroom, and she had to use the bathroom, and I had to help her use the bathroom, and blood, just so much blood poured out. I thought she was dying. I was like, oh! I called the nurse, pulled the, ripped the cord out the wall for the nurse to come. I was like, she's dying. So much blood came out. These are birth pains when you're going through things. This was after the birth, but this is the closest thing that I can think of the type of birth pains that happen. The kind of pain, your mom almost broke my hand. I had the same graduation college ring on my hand, and your mother grabbed me like with the strength of Hulk when you were born. And we both screaming because she's squeezing my hand so hard from the pain to push your little hard-headed self out. These are birth pains, and this is what the earth is going through. Birthing us as a nation, because we are about to become a nation, not a religion, not citizenship. We're about to become a nation. And this is the nation that's going to rule the earth. What side do you want to be on? You want to be the nation of dead people? Matthew 24 says nation against nation, not nations. There's only two choices: tree of life or the tree of good and evil. Life, death. Righteousness, wickedness. Yah, devil. And we got to make that choice. Right now, y'all, they're talking to the kids. Right now, y'all kids. So your parents make that decision for you. But as you get older, you start to get more freedom to make decisions. And when you get an adult, you have to make these decisions yourself. And all the stuff we talking about is likely to happen in your time. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 2. While their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills.
While they remember those Christmas trees in the house. Go ahead.
O my mountain in the field, I will give your substance.
That's why you got to know your history, so you go through the same thing over and over and over again. And we didn't know our history. That's why we're going through the same thing over and over and over again. It sounds like we're reading about right now. But this is over 2,000, almost 3,000 years ago is what we're reading right now. And we're going through the same thing over and over and over again. When is it going to stop? When are we going to be tired of being hamsters on the wheel, just going in a circle? Oh, let me just step out and I can just walk this way and go forward. Go ahead.
And you, even yourself, shall discontinue from your heritage.
You, even you yourself shall what?
discontinue from your heritage that I gave you.
That he gave us that heritage. What did he give us? He gave us his laws. He gave us the land. He gave us the spirit. He gave us the prophets. He gave us all of our, the Mashiach. He gave us all these things. He said, I will take these things from you. And here's the punishment. After I've stripped you naked, then what?
I will cause you to serve your enemies in the land which you know not. For you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So I will cause you to serve your enemies in a land which you knew not. What land did we not know? We knew all these lands. It's right there in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 10. We know them lands. They're right there. So obviously there's another land they're talking about that our fathers did not know. That's the land that we're in. All I know is that the Tyrus lives there. All I know is where the Catherine are from these islands. I don't. What's this other thing you talking about? What's Nigeria? I don't know that. I never heard of that. That's all made up stuff that came after the fact when Europeans hit the scene. HALAH. And that's something, heirlooms, estate, patrimony. That's like marriage, portion, inheritance, possession. We are stripped of everything. We have no land. We have no language. We have no heirloom. We have no knowledge of self. We don't know the laws. These are the things that are the most important thing in the world. This is what makes us a nation. This is stripped from us. So being this was stripped from us, he's saying we're going to become a nation again. So which means we're going to have land. We're going to have a name. We're going to have our language back. We're going to have our heirlooms back. All the stuff that the so-called, what they call the Queen of England has, all those things are coming back. The stuff they got hidden under the ground in the catacombs, all that stuff is coming back to us. The Ark of the Covenant is coming back to us. The same thing they showed you on Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that stuff. All that is coming back to us. Our crowns, our gold, our big giant menorahs that they show, that you can Google and show the sculptures where the Greeks and the Romans, Emperor Titus came and destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. And he walked out there with all our precious gold and stuff. And you know Africa's filled with gold and jewels. That's why they're over there raping the place right now. Because they can't even rape all of it. They're still trying to get all the stuff out of that. We had all this stuff. All that stuff is coming back to us. And when it comes back, like my brother Brian Davis said, it's going to be ours forever. Eternity. But here's the catch. You got to be here for eternity to have it. If you ain't going to be here for eternity, you ain't going to have it. You're going to have lake of fire. So you got two choices. Once again, eternity with YAH, lake of fire, burning fire with brimstone. What do you want? What do you want, girls? Do you want lake of fire? Or do you want eternity with the Most High, with all your jewels and all your land, being the kings and queens of the earth in righteousness with peace, with no fear, walk across the street without even having to look both ways? It's perfect. Leave your door open. Leave your stuff. You don't have to worry. You know the people. There's no confusion, no fighting, peace, no name calling, no hurt, no crying, no nothing, just paradise. And the Most High said, this is yours. This is what I've given you. This is just the best that I can describe it. Because he says, ears have not heard, eyes have not seen the glory of the riches, the beauty that YAH has in store for us. But the devil is saying, I don't want you to have it. You know why the devil don't want us to have it? He don't want us to have it because he ain't going to have it. Ain't that what people do when they can't have something? Well, I don't want you to have it because I can't have it. So the shoe don't fit, so you want to take the Jordans and throw it in the trash because it don't fit you. But my size, nah, throw them away. Just like the corporations. We can't sell this food legally, so throw it away. I don't want these people getting it for free. Nah, let's throw it. Forget the homeless that can eat this food. Nah, throw it away because I can't make no money off of them. Two choices. Eternal peace or eternal damnation. Man, sis YAH, he even took the jewels out of our fine linen. He took everything. He's like when that repo man came, he took give me that earring. Let me get all that. Yeah. I can't get the jewels out that hair, so let me just took everything from us. Because that's what a husband does to his wife. When his wife don't want to obey the rules of the house and he's begging and pleading with her, then he says, all right, you think it's cool out there? Go out there then. Oh, but you thought you was leaving with this, right? Nah. That come here. But here come wicked America. Nah. Yeah, no, you're gonna have to give her more than what she had when she was with you. Because we want to destroy your household. That's our goal. Because if y'all together, we can't mess with y'all. Because now you got two people praying in the Most High hearing. So if the father is off, the mother is on. If the mother is off, the father is on. Can't nobody bring you down. So they said, now let's rip them apart because now they're weak. Same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And they will blast one songs, posters, schooling. They will do everything to take your attention off of the things because they don't want you having those riches. Because they know where their place is. It ain't going to be where our place is. The rest of the nations ain't going to be where our place is. But those that do grab a hold of our law and our righteousness will benefit from our righteousness. They will benefit. And they will be able to live life happily. They're not going to live it the way we live it. Just like we're not living it the way they living it. But guess what? It's going to be 1,000,000 times better than the way they're living in this wickedness. Because they gotta worry about the wickedness that we got to worry about on this earth. Just not to the point that we are. Go ahead. All right, this is the punishment. Let's go to Acts chapter 26. Let's take a look at religion. Acts chapter 26. Because half of the reason that we cannot get some people that are preaching what the elders taught them, religion, what the Pharisees taught. You can, they say you're a Pharisee. God is going to provide you with the Holy Spirit. He's going to provide you with wisdom and understanding because you're trying to do righteousness. So you'll learn how to keep the spirit of the law by keeping the letter of the law. Then now when the letter of the law doesn't apply, the spirit of the law applies. You know the difference because you've been keeping the letter of the law. But then now you have another sect of people that made up a bunch of stuff called the oral law. They just made it up out of their mouth and came up with a whole doctrine and said, this is what you're going to do. This is what Yah meant to say. And now push that and it's going generation to generation. The same people that killed Christ pushing this doctrine from generation to generation to generation. And because we don't read, we don't know the difference between the two. And it's causing confusion. That's why you got a bunch of people following the moon. The moon has 354 days, but then you trying to make that the beginning of every month. Oh, it's still not enough. Oh, let me just throw another moon in there. I just made it 384 days. Why? Because of religion. Acts chapter 26, and we're just going to read 1 through 5. We're going to keep it real simple.
Then Agrippa said unto Saul, you are permitted to speak for yourself. Then Saul stretched forth the hand and answered for himself, I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before you, touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Yahudi, especially because I know you to be expert in all customs and questions which are among the Yahudi. Wherefore I beseech you to hear me patiently.
All right, so here's some wisdom. Don't be sitting in front of these rulers. They got power over you. And don't be wise in how you talk to them. That's not being a... This is an Edomite. This is his enemies. This is his enemies he's talking to right now. Be wise. Be wise when you talk to them. Don't mean you got to kiss they behind. Be wise when you speak to them. Go ahead. Verse 4.
My manner of life from my youth, which was
Israel, the Yadim, all the people that dwell in that area. Go ahead.
if they would testify that after the most straightest sect of our religion, I lived a Pharisee.
Ah, there go his religion. Pharisee. Let's look at that word. It's Threskia or Threskia. Threskeia. From a derivative of G2357, ceremonial observance, religion, worshiping. So from his section of religion was Pharisee. And let's see what Pharisee is. Pharisee is G5330. Phariseos, Phar, origin, a separatist that is exclusively religious. Pharisee, that is Jewish sectary. So that is Jewish. This is oral law. Now, there's a book in the pseudepigrapha that I just started reading that with the Zadokites. The Zadokites were the priests of Zadok. These are a branch of the high priest, the same high priests that are the only branch that's going to be doing sacrifices and doing the things in the kingdom, according to our Bible. Those people, Zadok was the only priest that didn't turn his back on our patriarch, King David. It didn't turn his back on him when they were trying to kill him. And those people, the Zadokites, had a problem with the Pharisees because they said the Pharisees was creating oral law and putting it overwritten Torah, overwritten scriptures and saying, nah, we think it's this way. And the Pharisees used the Talmud and all that stuff. And it's named after a pagan god. And the Pharisees had it where you could marry your own niece. How you gonna marry your brother or your sister's daughter? They did this with oral law. Well, YAH said specifically you can't do that. They changed the calendar. That's why y'all chasing the moon, people that do the moon, because of the Pharisees. This was his religion. Now, here's the question. Was that the religion he finished with or the religion he started with?
Oh, answer?
Yeah.
Sorry. Say it again.
He started with that. Absolutely. That's from his youth when he was in Israel. That's what he started with. But what ended up happening is he became a believer. Believer is not a religion, but I mean, I guess it can be classified as a religion, but it's not a religion. I believe the word. It wasn't meant to be a religion. We're not doing animal sacrifices, all that ceremonial animals. You're not doing that stuff no more. Go ahead.
Were we reading to our verse 5 or continue?
What we read through 5?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you see, that's what he started. And what happened is Yeshua came down from heaven and talked to him after he resurrected. Saul wasn't walking with Christ when Christ was on the earth. Yeshua was out there Saul was out there killing believers. He was the young man holding the clothes of the people that stoned Stephen. Stephen was the first so-called Christian martyr, the first person to die like Christ for the word, where he testified against the people for how they killed all the prophets, how they killed Mashiach, and they stoned him. And Saul was a Pharisee, a young Pharisee in training, and held the clothes of the men that tortured, that stoned this believer to death. Then Saul got paperwork from the Sanhedrin, which is the Pharisees, that allowed him to go and round up all the believers. Like if we were in Jerusalem, he would have had paperwork to come in this house right now and take all of us and take us into the lure us into the wilderness and then take us back to the temple to be tortured. That's what Saul used to do in his former age. Then Christ came to him, blinded him, gave him the Holy Spirit, And now he became a believer. And this is why he had to suffer so much. That's why you feel sorry for him getting beat up and getting, his own people. But guess what? He did it to his own people. So it's better that even out here in earth, rather than have to be judged in heaven for these things. And this is why a lot of bad things happen to some of us, because of the wickedness we did when we were in the world. Some very wicked things, including your father has done some bad things when I was in the world. But I suffered for those things, and I'm still suffering for those things. And I have an opportunity to suffer for righteousness' sake, rather than suffer in judgment for those things. All right, so let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to James, Jacob, chapter 1, and we're going to read 19 through 27. James is towards the end of the Old Testament. Struggle causes these things. That I've had a never equaled righteousness. Go ahead.
Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. But be you doers of the word, and not hearers, only deceiving your own selves.
Right, so be you doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So don't just hear the word. The stuff that you hear, you got to do it. And doing it means, okay, I know I was supposed to do this, and I didn't do it. All right, I can't do nothing about the past, but I can do something about the present and the future. Let me start doing it. Let me repent. Let me fix this. Let me change this. Because I can't go in a time machine and change what I did, a minute ago. I can't.
For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in the glass.
A mirror. Go ahead.
For he beholds himself and goes his way, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was.
All right, so get out the mirror. Stop being in the mirror so much. That's vanity. But when you do go in the mirror, don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are. When you're out here talking and we're spreading this word to people and we're telling them the truth and we're doing all these things, don't forget to do it. Go ahead.
But whoso looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridles not his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this man's religion is vain.
So if you constantly offending people with your mouth, you're deceiving yourself if you think that that's okay. And what I mean offending people with your mouth, not offending them by giving the word, trying to speak calmly and trying to give it to them in a good, pure heart. No, I'm talking about when you being mean to people, saying things that are offensive to people. Purpose because of the wrath that's in you, because of the bitterness, because of the anger. That's not pure. Go ahead.
Pure religion and undefiled before Elohim and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless.
All right. So to visit the fatherless. Now, the physical fatherless are people that have no fathers, orphans, right? But the fatherless is also those people that don't have Father Yah. They don't have this word. They stuck. Talk to those people. Reach out to those people that don't know the Father. Go ahead.
And widows in their affliction.
Physical widows. Also, physical people, women that had men that have died in this word. Either physically died or died. They burnt out. They couldn't endure. They back in the world. Visit those people. No, it means sleep with that woman. It means be there for her. Help her with the word. Help her with stuff. Do what you can do. If she crying out for money, help her with some money if she need help. Do what you got to do. Go ahead.
And to keep himself unspotted from the world.
In other words, to keep the commandments. Unspotted. Every time you transgress, that's a spot on your wedding garment. Be in a constant state of repentance. That doesn't mean be in a constant state of never messing up. That's not realistic. You do the best you can. That's all you can do. I could want to bench press 500 pounds, but guess what? It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. But guess what? I'm going to try. I get up to 225, get up to, I think the highest I ever went was 295 because that's the most weight I had in my little personal weight bench or whatever. And maybe one day I could do 500, but it ain't going to happen. So I got to keep practicing, keep trying not to fall, getting up when I fall, just like a fight. When I get in a fight and I get knocked down, if I'm still conscious and I'm still awake, I got to get up and keep going. Because if I lose that fight, that means my family is dead. That means my nation is dead. That means, my people, I can't lose that fight. So we got to get up. As long as I get up, the Father going to give me the strength to endure. So this is how we have to be. We got to endure. So we got to become a nation again. And to become a nation means we all. But guess what? That ain't going to include everybody. They don't mean all your friends, all your family members, everybody who look like you. That don't mean that's not your nation. Yahshua said, who is my brother? Who is my mother? Who is my sister? Those that do the will of who? My will?
No.
Whose will?
Yeah.
The will of Yah. That's your family. Now, obviously, you got to treat your carnal family with respect because that's he give you that as practice. So you can learn how to treat your spiritual family. All right, so that's all we're going to do today. Any questions or comments before we close? Shabbat Shalom, Elder Zahar. Good to see you. All right. Let's close out with prayer.
You got a question?
Go ahead.
When you die, do you be perfect like Yahweh or you don't?
Okay. Now, according to our word, leaves your body. Once your spirit leaves your body completely, your body is dead. It's like there's nothing there. It's just a piece of flesh. Your spirit goes back unto the Father. And you're perfect because you're back to the Father because the Father just slivered off his spirit into your body. It's just like if you take a match and you light something else, that fire is just transferred to something else, right? But if you put that out, that other match or that light source is still there, still burning. So Yah is that original light source, that original light that's still burning. When that person dies, that light is out and it goes back unto the Father. Now, after, when it's time of judgment, which is way in the end, then everybody who died is going to come before the Father and you're going to be judged. You will be judged according to your deeds, according to your book of life and the book of life. What you did before you knew and what you did after you knew. And then Yah is going to decide through Yahshua, the word, the Savior word of Yah, what your destination is going to be. Whether it's with the Father, perfect forever, or whether it's lake of fire. So that's why we have the grace now to try to do everything we can to show the Father that we want to be with him forever. That we want to be in our land. We want our heritage. We want to enjoy that forever. All right. Let's go ahead and close out with a prayer. In Yah's will, the elders will be with us next week and will be able to give us one of their wonderful classes so that we can increase our learning and learn from lessons that only an elder would know, that only experience can teach. All right, all brothers will move their head coverings, all sisters pray with their heads covered, and we face east towards Jerusalem. Brother West, can you close us out in prayer, please?
Abba, Father, Elohim of Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov, we thank you, Father Yah, for this class and allowing us to convene, Father Yah, today on your holy Shabbat. And we thank you, Father Yah, for giving us the spirit to seek you, Father Yah, and to try and do your will to the best of our ability, Father Yah. For we know times are changing, Father Yah, and there are many things going on in the earth right now, Father Yah, and many spirits that are trying to take us away from your walk, Father Yah. But we thank you, Father Yah, for giving us the strength and spirit to remain seeking you despite all of this, Father Yah. For we know it's not an easy walk, Father Yah, and we pray and ask you, Father Yah, please give those who are seeking you, Father Yah, sincerely the strength, Father Yah, and the long suffering, Father Yah, and the endurance, Father Yah, to really endure this walk, Father Yah, and stay tethered to you, Father Yah. Strengthen our hearts and our spirits, Father Yah, and help us continue to walk, Father Yah, and be a light to those who we need to be a light to, Father Yah, and help us to do your will, Father Yah, and stay focused on you, Father Yah. In Yeshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.